So what's going on, guys? CeeGee here today. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Now, running along with this theme of top 5 games on my channel every Friday, or for the last 2 times it's been like Monday or something, which I apologise for. We're going to follow up my very popular top 5 multiplayer games. We followed that up with the single player games, and now we're going to be following up with top 5 RPG games. Very new kettle of fish, and probably my favourite category of game is the RPG, that open world, gorgeous environment with lots of stuff to do, side quests. Usually has some sort of leveling up system and chart where you earn points and get all different abilities, which is kind of cool. So without any further ado, let's just get straight into our 5th and final spot. So coming in at our 5th and final spot is a game that received very mixed reviews upon launch, but also a sequel to one of the greatest PS3 games to date. So number 5 goes to Mafia 3. Mafia 3 is one of them games that you either love or hate. I personally love the game. So let's of course start with the plot. The plot follows Lincoln Clay, a member of the African-American Mafia, but when the Italian Mafia murder his whole gang, it falls to our protagonist Lincoln to exact revenge, making a new Mafia on his climb to the top. Even Vito Scaletta, the protagonist from the second game, teams up with Lincoln to help overthrow the Italian Mafia. Although the story is rather addictive for the first few hours, it ultimately does fall flat towards its climactic showdown. Characters, on the other hand, is where the game really shines. Alex Hernandez as Lincoln Clay even received a nod for Best Performance at the Game of the Year Awards. Although the other characters really do shine too, more specifically Burke, the crazy Irishman, really shines when it comes to characteristics. For me, easily pulling through as the most enjoyable character to watch. The return of Vito was also one that I enjoyed, as I am a big fan of the second entry to this beloved franchise. But what about the mechanics, you may ask? Well, this is where things get a little bit sad, because Mafia 3's mechanics are very simple, to say the least. The gunplay feels very simple and sometimes a little dodgy. Also, there aren't really any proper fleshed out stealth mechanics. Although stealth is so heavily emphasised on when you start taking down leaders. And the driving is probably its redeeming factor, although very arcadey, it's extremely enjoyable. So overall, Mafia 3 failed to pack the punch it wanted to and didn't live up to the second game's rightful throne. But it's a good game nonetheless, so just not a hugely successful one. So number 4 goes to that Dovahkiin himself. That's right, number 4 goes to none other than Skyrim. Skyrim is a cult classic and huge in the modding scene, but why is it so low down on this list, you may ask? Well, allow me to explain. When Skyrim initially released back on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, it was hugely successful, breaking sales records and receiving awards left, right and centre, but its fall from grace has only come quite recently, as Bethesda has tried cashing in on it being a new release 3 different times. The first came after the E3 press conference, where it was simply remastered. Remastered is the wrong word though, as it barely differs from the original on PS4, and the only thing new about it was the price. Secondly, they launched it for Nintendo Switch. Yay, I guess. Are people even still playing that? And finally was the converted virtual reality version. This was not a problem, however. The problem was that Bethesda tried to sell this game as brand new on 3 different occasions. Each one of these launches, they tried launching it at £50 a pop for a game that's like 4 years old, which is, it's just criminal, really. But let's move on to the good, shall we? Skyrim is a cult classic for its incredible narrative, vast world, and infinite amount of side quests. So, the plot. A rich narrative following the Dragonborn, who is the only man who can destroy the dragons and send them back to the grave. Very simple but very captivating, as we meet so many great characters on the way and get tasked with some fantastic quest lines to do. Secondly, the world. Not much needs to be said other than it is quite literally a living world. There's so much wildlife, so many creatures, some of which you aren't friendly, but also caves, caverns and coves to endlessly explore. And finally, side quests, which is what a majority of the game is. The main narrative can quite easily be completed quite quickly, but to be honest, you can sink 1,000 plus hours into side quests alone, in my opinion, which I just think is great stuff. So overall, Skyrim will always be a fantastic and beautiful game. The only bad factor is that Bethesda are beginning to milk it and use it as a cash cow, which is very sad to see, because this game does deserve to be left alone so it can age properly and become a true classic. So, coming in at third place is a very controversial one. I've chosen Infamous Second Son. Now, before you click off the video or skip forward, just hear me out, right? Infamous Second Son was graphically unparalleled when it came out at the time. Its gorgeous iteration of Seattle was genuinely breathtaking. Filled with famous sights and landscapes, it was easy to recognise and distinguish from other American cities. And when it rained, it was honestly the most gorgeous thing. Sucker Punch, the development team behind Second Son, really know how to make rain look incredible. So moving on, admittedly the plot was very basic but enjoyable regardless. Following Delson Rowe and his brother on a hell-bent journey to take down the leader of an organisation who are adamant to kill every single person who has superpowers, similar to Delson's. So the plot takes the brothers to Seattle. Along the way we meet some great characters and even gain some cool powers which visually are stunning. The mechanics are very fluent as well, creating a fast-paced arcade-style shooter which never fails to feel awesome. Gliding around, shooting enemies and free-running with the help of superpowers makes for one of the most fun games on the market today, creating tense, fast gun battles that always impress. Also, it is worth noting that the acting is top class, most notably Troy Baker as Delson Rowe, the protagonist. He does a fantastic job and yet again shows us why he is the best the best actor in gaming out there at the moment. So overall, Infamous Second Son is a fantastic RPG and in my opinion does not get the recognition it deserves. So, just missing out on the top spot is one of the most underrated games you've probably never heard of. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn isn't even an old game, but it's already been swept under the rug, which is hugely unfair as it is absolutely fantastic. Firstly, let's talk about the plot. The story follows Aloy, a member of a tribe whose heritage is unknown. She is determined to find out where she came from, and that is exactly what she does. The story is built around character and narrative, so it never falls short, as Aloy is easily the next biggest PlayStation icon, and the plot is truly captivating. Aloy is a well-structured character who we learn a lot about throughout the game, as the player has no idea about her heritage either, so learning about Aloy as she learns about herself is one that draws the player and character into an emotional bond. Emotional enough that when the credits roll, I was in fits of tears and I didn't have enough tissues ready. She truly is a PlayStation icon rivaling the likes of Lara Croft and Nathan Drake. Mechanically, the game is sound as well, running like a smooth machine and not once bugging or glitching out. It has an engine that was built from the ground up, and the freshness of the game is only cemented by its crisp engine. The combat is very advanced and every battle needs some sort of thought or preparation. The stealth, although very basic, is always satisfying and the general movement of characters is always fluent. So, graphics. Nothing on the market, bar a few exceptions, can rival this game visually. It really is beautiful. Paired with dinosaur robots and destroyed buildings from a fallen civilization, make an atmospheric and living world to enjoy. Overall, Horizon Zero Dawn, like Infamous, does not receive the recognition that it deserves. I honestly, personally think this game should be considered for Game of the Year. It really is that good. So, the best RPG game, ladies and gentlemen, is of course The Witcher 3. This is backed up by multiple 10 out of 10 reviews and some big Game of the Year wins. The Witcher 3 is an incredible example of how small beginnings blossom into a game that can only be described as perfect. So let's obviously start off with the plot. The plot follows Geralt, obviously, who this time around is in search for Ciri as he fears she could be in grave danger from the Wild Hunt. A group of dark entities hell-bent on finding her and using her power for great evil. Sounds pretty sick, right? I know. Well, it only gets better as along the way we get tasked with slaughtering wild monsters like griffins, werewolves and wraiths. All demonic creatures a Witcher can kill, so our services are highly sought after across the land of The Witcher. Characters are also a pivotal point of the game, creating a diverse love triangle between Geralt, Yennefer and Triss, which can call for some awkward sexual tension during cutscenes, but it is also worth saying that so many side characters are actually really deep and well structured. These consist of Dandelion, Zoltan and the Bloody Baron, just to name a few. So what about combat? Well, it's simply flawless. The combat system is absolutely perfect. The controls and maneuverability means the fight always stays nice and fast without feeling rushed. The variation of beasts and monsters to fight allows for hundreds of combinations of potions, spells and styles to be used. Overall, The Witcher 3 creates an incredible story using character, but once paired up with its next level mechanics and world, it creates an immersive experience enough to keep any player coming back after weeks for another playthrough. So there you go guys, that was my top 5 RPG games. Let me know what you guys think are the top 5 in the comments down below. If you disagree with any of mine, let me know in the comments. If you did like this video, of course, remember to smash the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you guys soon with a brand spanking new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you then. Peace.